we got a spaghetti western here on 36.
Yep, track. Also, the band's going. The mic's working. I'll take that. I'll take the mic working. Alright. Let's see what's going here. Morning. Oh. Keeps picking tracks with the lyrics. A little less safe. No. So with some energy. A lot of this is just down. Oh, it's got some energy. Okay, I can roll with this. Alright. Howdy, folks. I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics. And, yeah. Cody Coffee and Comics on a Tuesday. I had time, wanted to do it. Here I am. I hope I have enough coffee. It's only been a couple days since I did the last one. Usually I try to do them on Wednesdays. Last week it didn't work out till Saturday, so I did it on Saturday. I feel. I don't know. It might have been Sunday. I really don't remember. And then here I am now. I want to do a overview of at least 3 campaigns. I did put out the word, so if there's other ones that pop up during it, great. Or if there's anything that catches my eye on the pages that's worth checking out, we'll do that too. But for now, we'll do those 3. You are too kind, sir. Far too kind. The professional bit, no. Just not a dick. It sucks that that's confused, right? Like, professional, it should mean something. This is not my profession. I'm blessed that this can even be a hobby for a person of my means. I've been very blessed to be picked up when I'm very low in many cases, right? Like, there's a lot of that. A lot of mistakes are made. My timing's not great. Like, there's a million reasons why you should not call me professional. But if you want to on the basis of interpersonal interaction, yeah, okay, I'll take it because I've seen other people's standards and sometimes they ain't so great. But I hope you're doing well. Congrats on the continued success of Soulfinder. Since we're doing crowdfunding campaign lookovers, check out Soulfinder because you are placing all your bets on the book and then letting the market decide, which is very enviable. I wish I could do that as well. The whole circus around trying to get these things done is one of my least favorite parts. But congrats on another release. I will eventually get to talking about Soulfinder and my experience reading it and such. I just have not gotten there yet. I got a stack of indie work to get through. I haven't even opened my Common America 6 yet. And I haven't gotten to the Black Ops crossover because I still got to get through Soulfinder. So I am way behind on reading. I am so far behind on reading. I crawled through one issue of a Western comic, and I crawled through Shaman King Omnibus. That one I'll take. That one I'll take. And indie comics are all, I'm a big kid, but even I know, like, and I am socially stunted. Even I know how to navigate situations so folks don't come out of it with less than they came in or with negativity. Like that's such a waste of time. There's only so much time. But good morning again. Congrats. Thank you for stopping by and saying howdy. I got 3 campaigns on the bit. One of them is a Team IronVerse Comics creator, so I'm 100% behind her. She's a wonderful creator. Almost all the animations you see on the channel are from her. This little dude jumping up here is not from her. But like all these and things like that, that's from her. Oh, I still have the Mechanicus up. Fun stuff like that. So I'm excited. This is her first campaign. She's going in very timidly, which is probably smart for her. And I'm excited to see her get more success than she thinks she will. And then we have another very consistent creator who's been putting out work since he started, and quite a bit. I don't even know how many comics this would be. Well over 10. There's another series, and I think he's done 3 series, and he does everything on them. Very dedicated individual, quality stuff. Quite a few IronVerse quickies on the page about them, so if folks want a harder-edged review of his work after we get into it, please check out the channel for that. I've reviewed issue 0 and issue 1, I believe, of Demon Hunter Raven, which was kind of his start, and yeah, it'd be good for you folks to see those. And then another creator who I wish all the success in the world, been there since I started, supported me quite well, and has been having a hard time with this campaign. It's the second time he's run it. I have some thoughts on why he's having a hard time with this campaign, but we'll go through those when we go through the pages. I have a very hard time not wearing the editorial hat, because I want people to do better. Whether they're doing amazing or not. If anything I have to say could be at all helpful, whether it's something they need to hear, don't want to hear, or not, it would sure be, it's kind of, I don't know, it's an arrogant, self-appointed job, but I still feel it necessary. So yeah, that's the plan today, folks. See, we're into that. I guess we can just hop into it. The Jack Irons updates aren't anything new from Saturday. Nothing's moved. But I might reiterate those for the hell of it. And then we'll go from there. Need more coffee. Yeah, let's start with the Jack stuff. Just to get that out of the way. Yeah, I showed that page last time. So we'll start there. Then maybe I'll show one of the animations. The latest animation. And then that'll be a good segue into the crowdfunding. She didn't make some money. So here we go. Let's see, where's that standby? Goes. Alright. Oh, I can get rid of me a little bit too. This is nice. One of the few times I get to use this. Doesn't look great, but it's still less of me on the page, which I always appreciate. Okay. Display screen. The band is revolting today. Did you open up band? Oh, it is. Well, it's red. Why are you red? Speech recognizer, language, using default device. But it's not catching it. Let's move to this one. No, move to a different device. Oh, do you have to hit play now? Check. Ha! Thought I said Jack. That's great. So now it's working now. All right, the band's here now. Thank you. Skip track. The band's here, but it's still feisty today. That's funny. Skip track. Oh, I said caught those as 2 words. Skip track. The couples to skip. I'm just going to show you what I'm dealing with. Display screen. Okay, that one worked. This is what I'm dealing with. That will of the levee, like, That's not what I'm saying. The band is only hearing what it wants to hear today. It's too bad. But I'll do my best with them. You know, I gotta be patient. All right. Boom! Showed this page off on Saturday. We are almost halfway over. Actually, we're almost 2/3 done. I would say we are 2/3 done. I just haven't had the pages delivered. I've seen them. So I'm assuming he's got little things he wants to tweak. This is a work in progress page, of course, but it's almost finalized. It was about halfway through the book or so. And we're getting there. We're almost done with colors. Art production's almost finished. Art production is all paid for. Yeah. Next step should be me finishing that lettering script. I'm still super intimidated on it. I've gotten a couple directions, both from my wonderful editor, Dollar Coins, who tore my original lettering script to pieces, which needed to be done because it was not very good. I've been just constantly grinding at how to approach it so I can hit it better. And my goal, I think, next is to read the first 3 issues again, see what the common thread is between the 3 of them, because I think I know what it is, but I want to make sure I have that right. And then I have to inject that into this issue a bit stronger than I did before, and I think that'll be a good guidepost. That'll fix a lot of the wandering and meandering I did in that original lettering script. So I have a plan, just haven't gotten to it yet. But it's looking good. As always, Steve adds just wonderful texture and volume to Jack as a character in a page. Every page that he turns into something. A work of art. Well, duh, but still. I think it's a standard. It's a wonderful standard. I think it is. If you want to talk about professionals, we were talking about that earlier. I'm just some dude. These guys know what they're doing. I just somehow fumbled into being able to work with these cats. And I keep being able to, so I guess that says something. But nonetheless, this is of the quality I always expect from these folks, and it's the quality that our wonderful patrons and backers expect, I hope, and more than deserve. Like, holy hell. Yeah, we're moving forward. We're moving forward there. I'm so excited. I am also just so terrified because I'm trying to hold up to the standard for the 4th time in a row. First time it was just playing comic guys. Second time it was like, well, let's see what can be done. And I was swept up in being able to, holy shit, I can actually make an issue 2 because of the crowdfunding stuff. And then issue 3, I was pretty like, I had finally gotten into the system and I got reviews and customer reactions and all that. So 3, I had a lot of feedback and a lot of ideas on how to approach it. 4, this one, like the structure of the script was, I call it crazy arrogant, and it was kind of selfish because of what I built it on the back of. The 2 Ancient Tales I built it on the back of. I did. I have every right to, but nonetheless, it's kind of, that adds some intimidation to it. But now that it's done and the storytelling's been done on the lines, the colors, right? Like, now I know what the flow needs to be. So I'll get there. Much appreciated. Yeah. There's always, my team's weird. And kind of like me too. There's massive bursts of the work, right? Like Maxie delivered, I think, 7 pages in a week last time, which, with his line art, he does it all traditional and inks. He does some fixes digitally after they're scanned, particularly if it's something that would be very hard to fix physically. But he's done that before too. Issue 2, I said he didn't like how a panel was set up with the 4 horsemen, particularly how Plague was and how it was kind of the perspectives. And so he actually drew another Plague, cut him out, probably glued or adhered it to the panel, and then rescanned the panel, and then cleaned off the lines digitally from the the different layers. And you can't tell in the issue at all that he did that, but So yeah, some of his fixes are traditional as well, but like I think he's been pivoting towards digital as most artists have because of the convenience. However, his line art is still, I think he doesn't do tablets or anything like that. He does some computer based fixes, and everything else is a pen on page, which is another blessing for me to work with an artist that does that, because that's how they've been done for a very long time up until recently. And there's something special about ink actually hitting the page, to me at least. It's part of the reason I like physical comics so well, right? Is that it's still ink hitting the page, but like even from the artistic level up, I think there's something really cool about traditional comics. But there we go. That's a page. I think there are 5 pages for preview on the campaign. If folks want to see more of the completed colors, I've shown those off quite a few streams, so I'm not gonna do it again. But yeah, display screen. Yes. I think so too. Though, of course, all the coloring is digital, right? And there's so much more you can do with coloring digitally than traditionally, unless you have an excellent painter, and then that's just a whole crazy ass system. So definitely coloring digital, like you can't really get around that. But still, if you're hearing wind blowing, there's a reason. Give me a second. Oh, should I just show the GIF then? Because yeah, I'll just do the GIF. GIF, however you folks want it pronounced. This is our latest animation in from the wonderful Mrs. H, which will then segue into her campaign. Oh, nope. Display screen. It worked once. The band needs more coffee, apparently, too. Display screen. Okay, fine. I'll do it myself. I don't even know what I pay them for. That's why I do know what I pay them for, to make this easier on me. But it doesn't always work. And there we go. It's the last page of issue number 2, when we introduce Tracker, Earth's top predator. And most of the plot of issue number 3 involves it, right? But yeah, just a quickie. She does she works at my level. Is the best way to put it. Like, I'm not paying for incredible hyper detailed animations, and yet she still delivers far above the standard that I think I'm paying for. She's incredible talent to work with, and I'm glad her work with us has helped get her some footing, and I'm really excited for her campaign. So we'll go into that now, but this is just one of them. We use them for marketing, and then I combine multiple animations into trailers and stuff. Probably won't see another trailer until issue 4 is like fulfillment, I think is what I'll do. I'll do this big, I'll try and do one that involves, like, what I'd like to do is to cut up issue 4 and then do a trailer of issue 4, right? So that's probably what I'll do. We average about 2 animations a month, so it might not be possible before release, but we'll see what we can do. But yeah, excited. Think it looks good, as always. Main reason, right, is I've seen many artists have incredible work that gets completely unnoticed, and so this is a good example because he's the top predator, right? The predator part of our brain, and even the prey part of our brain, like, movement's super important, and with marketing, like, any little edge, right? And I think this has helped a little bit. I saw we've done a lot of things throughout the years that other smaller creators then like, oh, that can be done, and then do it. And I'm so happy to see that. I've seen even the folks, again, Mr. Ernst, the folks over at Iconic Comics do a lot of those things that have gotten other creators like, oh, that can be done. And that is so cool. That's my favorite part about it. The whole rising tide lifts all boats. Well, only the boats who know that the tide's coming tend to do that. So I love seeing that folks can see that, and they steady their ship, they get it ready, and then they can still float at that level. I love seeing that. Again, we're pretty slapdash and ragtag over here, but I think that's also part of our charm. But yeah, let me go ahead and show what she's been doing, and she loves making comics. She'll even say, "Well, I'm not a very good artist, but this is my passion," and you can feel the passion in basically everything she puts out. So this is another one where I reviewed the original version of issue number 1 on the channel. So if you guys want to see the original, this is not what you would be backing though. She redid the whole issue number 1. So that one I think is still visible, and you can still go read it on Global Comics. But it's this that she's doing physical prints and all of it, completely different. Well, not plot wise, but she redrew everything. So the paneling's different, the pacing's different. I'm sure she rewrote some things, all that. So let's see. Display screen. Yes, the band's listening to me now about a third of the time. I'll take it. So this is, if can I get out of the way maybe? No, I want to go this way. Right in the way. Gotta get my fat head out of here. Let me see. Fat head button. There's my fat head button. There it is. Boom! Alright, this is the Adventures of Captain Orange. Almost funded. It's been up for... Oh, it ends on Christmas Eve. Neat. I think it's only been up since yesterday, so I think she specifically wanted to end it on Christmas Eve. Very cool. Embark on the first adventure in the Solaris Galaxy, and the crew of the good ship rescue the Queen before the malarkey matrimony. Her wordplay is a lot of fun too. This the original is super campy, original Star Trek, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon kind of feel to it, which is super fun. Anyway, let's watch this trailer. So, Maestro. Thank you. See, like, now they're even present, right? All right, so here we go. I haven't watched this trailer. Let's see. Nice. And she was going for the radio play voice too. Very cool. I really like that trailer. There's a lot of indie comics trailers that I see that I just no. There's a few that have won me over. This one I was already won over, but nonetheless, that was very fun. I like that. It's very quick. It doesn't ask much of your time. It explains it very quickly. It pitched everything that it needed to. The fact that, of course, everything's already done. She's already got the printer proof. She knows where she's printing. Like, she's ready to deliver this book. She just wants the cash to... I think she may have even ordered the books already. So I think she just needs the cash to recoup that, which is great. And again, she went for a small total, so she's not intimidated. She didn't add too many physical items. I think there's just a sticker and something else, right? A magnet. Sticker and a magnet. And of course you get your PDF as well. $10, of course. It's classic crowdfunding comic. First 25 are eyes free. You can dress up magnets, which is oh, okay, that's what those are. Okay. So you can play with the magnet. Again, she does these books particularly for kids as well, right? Like, that's what she's doing this work for, which is great, because I've thought about trying to do an all ages comic or something geared towards that, and I have a couple ideas on it, but it's super intimidating for me, because the all ages comics that have resonated with me quite well and have resonated with millions and millions of other people are incredible, right? Like, you get Calvin Hobbes, you got Bone, you've got, for me, the Wanderer, all these incredible relative, Dogman right now being like the craziest comic coming out of the West in terms of like raw sales power. It's super intimidating, and to nail it and to do something good for a kid, that's the one too is tough for me, right? Like, it's a noble goal, and it's a tough goal, I guess is the best way to put it. So here we go, 100% free, 24 pre-printed ISBN free copies available now. So she did do a test print run. 40 pages, 32 of them story content. I thought it was a classic comic book length. But oh, that's a neat feature on Kickstarter. I have not used Kickstarter for a while. You get your pull-out poster, so that's one of them too. And physical backers also receive digital, which should be the standard, and I'm glad she's doing that, because there's no reason not to. You will have a digital file for it, so extra value, right? This is, I believe, the character page that's included in every issue, so you get those. There we are. That's very cute. And she's worked with quite a few other amazing folks. She does have a Patreon, so if you want to see both her series as they're produced, please check that out. She might link it here. We'll check that out afterwards. But here's an idea. What does? I like the colors on this. She definitely redid that. Bunch of preview pages. She decided not to spoil the lettering. It looks like her lettering was decent, if I remember right. Again, check out my review of the original version of this issue if you're interested. But again, consider that a completed but work in progress kind of trial version of the issue. It is not what you will be receiving through this campaign. There it is. There's the physical. There's the sticker. There's the pin. Again, 40 pages, which is excellent. Oh, that's the dress-up sticker right there. Oh, no, that's not a sticker. That's the magnet. That's the magnet. My bad. That's the sticker. There's the pages she actually did, which I don't know. Are those for on those campaign? Buy one, donate one. I forgot she's doing that as well. Which is really neat. And which one was that? Oh, I probably should have snagged that one. Oh, you'll get an original page as well if you want. There's that tier. Then there's one that will donate 5 copies of the comic to young readers via the library or directly to kickstart the next generation, which is always great. I think there is always potential to create new comic book readers. And we should never forget about that. I think a lot of the mainstream is very much focused on the lifestyle end of comics, which is, for one, insane. I don't like that concept of corporations trying to become your life so that they can take all of your life energy and turn it into money. I don't like that one bit. But also, the only way that works is focusing towards young adults and middle-aged adults, and that is the most boring demographic for comics. And I'm saying that as somebody who markets to that, because I am one of those people. You're not going to create a lifelong comic fan out of somebody who just likes to have, like, a backpack with the Hulk on it, right? Like, so it's different. It's different. It's very different. Shipping, of course, you'll get your tracking number, and, of course, normal Kickstarter stuff. Once it's out of her hands, it's out of her hands. But make sure you do this thing, which the wonderful folks at Iconic Comics have been working very hard to train people to do, because Mr. Lim in particular doesn't like dealing with a year late and saying, hey, I never got my comic. Which I don't blame him. I've never had to deal with that. The few cases I have, it's been within months, and we're usually fine with that. But we also don't deal with the volume some folks do, and it's better to have your ducks in a row before the battle, right? Be completely prepared, than go in and then having to fix it during that, which is, again, my approach a lot of the time. Is like, oh, let's see what it looks like, what the outcome's in. Oh, there's a hole I need to patch. Okay, then I patch it. But it's a different approach. But again, talking about professionalism, it's a lot better to have it beforehand so that there is no leak, right? There's some challenges, of course. Printer has issues if there's anything there, of course. And that one as well. Maybe she pops off and she can't keep up trying to fill it herself, which I hope she does. And it looks like she does as well. Ooh, it's $100 tier. It's always smart to have a big tier. Comic, and then you get a cameo. Oh, that's neat. So yeah, this is the adventures of Captain Orange. Sci-fi pulp for all ages, from a very talented, very dedicated, very sweet comic creator who I wish all the success in the world, and I will continue to work with as long as she'll work with us. I hope this does really well. I want her confidence to be boosted because I think she is an incredible talent. Man, I'm glad this launched. I'm glad it's already almost funded, and I hope it funds soon. Congrats, Mrs. H, so far, and plenty of time to go to get this over the hump there. And I don't see how she could. So, check it out. 62%. Watch the trailer. A lot of fun. Only ask for 36 seconds of your time. If you got some kids you want to get into comics, this is a great choice. The other bit that I love about indie level work, particularly when the art isn't like ridiculous, because Jack doesn't do this, because of the skill that's put in, like it's intimidating, right? Like Jack looks intimidating, whereas this looks, for like a kid, it looks like something they could do eventually, right? It's if they like it and they feel like it. Like, again, Sergio Aragonis as well, even though he is incredible as an artist, super underappreciated with his big spreads and the amount of detail he puts into those, his art style is not super intimidating. That's what's so fun about it. Are you guys not hearing yourselves because I don't have desktop audio on? What up, El Crudo? Howdy. Excited for the next El Crudo. Good to see you, Manny. Thanks for stopping by and saying howdy. We're doing a couple crowdfunded campaigns. I'm hopeful I might get a couple more through Twitter before this ends. But right now I got 3 planned, and if we just get those 3, I'll just do those 3. No, that's it. All right. Well, there we are. On to the second one. But that was the Adventures of Captain Orange. Let me go ahead and throw the link into chat for the wonderful Mrs. H. Again, member of Team IronVerse Comics. The animation you just saw from Sheriff Kitty, for instance, is her work.
El Crudo.
Consider supporting, particularly if you have some kids who you want to read some comics.
All is well with you.
Oh man, a lot of pivoting, a lot of like growth and patience and learning last couple months for me, which is good. I needed a shake up because I had like that 2 months of just freaking the fudge out after I quit my job because it was no longer ethically a place I could participate in, and now I'm in a place that is much harder, but the vibe around it isn't ethically wrong. And that's the difference. Like, that makes all the difference. So that's been a lot on me. Catching up on Jack's been a lot on me. But it's all moving forward. So I'm happy. And of course I got a puppy, right? So that's been a lot too. I forgot how difficult it can be. But at the same time, super rewarding. He's a sweet dog. So I life moves on. I lost my cat too, right? Got a new cat, like, around the same time. Life's weird, man. I love it, but it's be easy to lose your way, and I've lost my way many times. But anywho, doing good. We're on to the next campaign, and this is a series of things that you're going to see a lot more recently. I just noticed that Bambi also went into the public domain, so we're going to see more Bambi stuff. 1 second, I'll let the lady speak for you real quick. Come on, lady.
El Crudo.
There you go.
Said, good stuff, dude. Wish you the best.
All the same to you, brother. All the same to you. Make sure I know when the next thing of yours is coming. If you folks aren't aware, El Crudo is the #1 voice in 8-base comics, in my opinion. Nobody comes close. If you like your gorillas, you like your chimps, you like your orangutans, he's your man. He's got the 8 fights, which I was blessed to participate in, is super fun. And El Crudo, the more long-running series, is this gritty, but I don't know, it's a very unique concept. I totally recommend it. ElCrudo.com, I believe you can check out issue number 1, see if it's for you. If you like military stories, it's a great spin on one. If you like that kind of gritty indie comic vibe, it's got that down. Please check out El Crudo, another incredible creator. I have been exceedingly lucky. I prefer to use the term blessed because I feel like a lot of things aren't just luck and coincidence. But I've been insanely blessed to meet so many incredible and kind talents in this indie space when a lot of other people find mostly resistance or find problems. Now I've been smacked in the nose pretty good about being too open to people, but once out of years at this point, right? So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But this is Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter Volume 1. Christopher St. Robin and Winnie the Pooh hunt to keep the 100-acre wood clean in this 70-page graphic novel. So it's a good chunk. It's a good chunk. It's a good size. He is, of course, funded, so you have no worries there. He has broken 100 backers. But your worry is, of course, this is Kickstarter. You only have 3 more days to get it, if this is your vibe. No trailer. It's sad. I want to look at the trailer. But instead, we'll look at the page, which is good. So this is, I like this app. It doesn't work for my campaigns, ever. Because usually it's like, oh, it's going to trend to nothing in the last day. But I still like it for an idea, and you can kind of see where the growth is, what days did better than others, yada, yada. So it's a neat thing. I forgot what it is. Backer tracker, that's what it's called. So if you're ever interested in that, worth a shot. As a creator, I just like data. I think it's I'm not gonna say important to have, because I think one of the nice things about comics is you can do a lot of things by the seat of your pants. But I also am like, the more tools in your kit, the more likely you can fix or adjust or change things properly, right? Like, you gotta have the right tools for the job, and even if you don't use all the tools you got them in case you need them, right? It's the same thing with why I have this channel, right? It's like, it's not like this big tool that's like super useful for me, but I've got it, I've refined it, I like it, it's fun. So, yeah. But yeah, Winnie the Pooh, Demon Hunter. Very cool cover. I'm guessing that's from B. Navarro. Yes, indeed. Oh, and Nick. So Nick did the line art on it. His line art has improved constantly. You can watch my review of Demon Hunter Rating number 0, and then number 1, and then Sunchild. I think are the 3 BMR comics I have on there. So BMR is the imprint he works under. His imprint is the best way to put it. Like IronVerse Comics is mine. And it's just consistently got cleaner and smoother, and he's been working really hard. So I'm very glad to see this. Like, this cover is bitchin'. I like it. Her coloring works, so she is working at IronVerse Comics now as well on The Recluse. Oh, that was something I could show. I think I showed it last Saturday as well. But other people. But she is working with us on the Recluse title, so I might show that later. But here we go. What if Winnie and friends were demon hunters? That's the concept, obviously. Christopher Robin and Pooh Bear are on the search for their missing friend Piglet. So they're looking for Piglet. That's good. Okay. After the shy and timid little hunter disappeared on a mission in the 100-acre woods. Awesome. Good. Together, Chris and Pooh will venture into the brutal woods as they face unexpected threats and face personal. Ooh, I wouldn't have done that. Ooh, spoilers on that. Where did you hit the band? The band is rebelling today. Oh, that was just me being dumb. But the band is rebelling. You know what? Maestro? Only partially rebelling. I think maybe they're drunk today. It's okay. I'll come home. Story looks to honor and respect the legacy of these characters that many of us for generations grown up loving and cared for. Very true. Pooh Bear was one of my favorites as a tiny child. With a story that uses A.A. Milne originals as a backdrop for what unfolds in this fiction. fairy tales meet demon huntings in a 7-page action-packed graphic novel printed at manga size. Oh, I have one of those as well. It was The Divine Anomaly, I believe I have. I haven't read that either. I'm so behind on reading so many awesome stuff from very cool folks. I'm so behind. But it was also manga sized, which helps with the printing, I think, and especially when you're doing a larger book in terms of page count. So I liked it. I like those. I've got those from Tonic Comics as well, which Saving the World is one of my favorite indie series out right now, especially if you like comedy, action comedy. Like, so good. So good. Let me see. I want to check something here. It's bugging me. There. Now I have a top of the head. All right. So what I was saying I would do is this. Face and face. So what you'd want to do as they face unexpected threats and personal challenges. You don't need both faces. So if you check out my original reviews of 0 and 1, he does have an editor. As you can see, but I'm not sure what that editor does. I don't like saying that. Let's just say that. What do you get for backing? Of course, you get the 5x8 manga, black, white, or full color. 70 pages. The book's almost done. You get volume 1, which is, it's going to be 2 volumes. It's going to be about 140 pages. So very cool. Only place to order hardcover copies. Oh, he's going to do hardcover manga size too. Interesting. I tried hardcover. It could have succeeded if at the time I wasn't looking to hedge some bets that I had previously played on issue number 3. Because I think I could have knocked down the campaign price by about 2K. We may have made it had I done that. But I still don't really... Hardcover's tough. Hardcover's tough. Like, if you have a system and consistency, not so tough to add variations on style and stuff. Like I'd like to do a collected again, a Jack, but I don't think I would do it hardcover, just to cut off. I would like to do a campaign with like no fuss. Like, here's the work, it's all done. We just want to combine it into something and release it. I would love to be able to do that. But there's like the more stuff you pile on top, whether it's the type of printing or it's prints, working with other artists like I do, or it's the physical statues, which I do, or the sketch card. When you add all the stuff, it gets overwhelming very quickly. You just need to tackle it bit by bit, which I've been able to do every time, but still. So I'm hoping this works for him. I didn't know he was doing a hardcover. That's very neat. Looks like there are a few versions of it, and it looks like he's doing an art book as well. That's neat. Here's some example of the pages. Very cool. Definitely action adventure. Oh, that's kind of from the cover. There's Piglet. Neat. And so he's been building a universe as well with his titles. And I think he's been doing it pretty well. Definitely better than we've been doing over here, because we're so quiet about things. And a lot of our other things take some time to get done. But we'll see. We'll see. Oh, is this a print poster page? Oh, it's another cover. It's another cover. Neat. Guessing this is as well. No, it's just an illustration. Okay. That's another cover. Then you get the character overviews. Oh, Red Riding Hood's in it. Okay. Eeyore. I remember seeing this one. I liked it. So you can get it in black, white, you can get it in color, or you can get the hardcover. Okay. I would get this. There's tiers laid out pretty cleanly. I like these graphics. I am terrible at making those. Oh, you get an original sketch inside the hardbacks. That's neat. And he's not printing anymore, so they're kind of a print-on-demand hardback. There's the different variant covers, which again, I don't do variants except on different printing so that it's easy to recognize a different printing in case our work ever gets collectible. We also have on our cover credit page, within all the all rights reserved, all that crazy shit, we also put the printing, like second printing, third printing, and the date of that printing. But nonetheless, I like to change up the covers for the printings whenever possible. But that's the only time I do a variant cover, and I still work with the same artists. Like, I don't like... I've spoke about it multiple times, and he's not doing that, so I don't mind speaking about it here. If you change the artist on the cover, to me, it often feels like a bait and switch. Now, it isn't always. Some cases, it's just like, oh, I get to work with this awesome artist. Awesome. Or this high-profile artist gets to boost my work. That is so cool. But then you open the interior, and it's not that. I'm a reader. I'm not a collector. So, like, my mindset's very different from collectors and variants. Like, I love this artist, so I collect everything he does, therefore I'll get this issue even though I won't read it, right? Like, that is a mindset, that is a way to purchase comics, that is a valuable source of income for comic creators. Like, I'm not down on it. But personally, it's not how I like to pitch my work. My goal for the work is to be upfront, honest, earnest, because what I'm trying to do with the work, if I approach it in any other way, it will fail. Just how my system works and how my belief system works on this art. So, again, I'm not down on it, and he's not doing that here, so good on him. But yeah, it's different. That's the one I have hardcover. Excuse me. I'm not hardcover. I have it in the manga size. Radiant Rapture, not Divine Among. There's also Moving Out to Raven. If you want 300 pages, like, he has put out work. The Christmas one, Sunchild, which I also have a review on the channel, and then of course Elijah the Prophet. Both these creators are also Christian comic creators, so if you folks like to support those kind of artworks and artists, both Mrs. H and Nicholas here are. That's a lot of their faith is very strong. It's put into the work. Same with my wonderful editor and letterer over at IronVerse Comics. I myself am more malleable, but nonetheless, I think that's an important angle, and I think it's one that has been suppressed pretty hard, and then where it's not suppressed, it's loud and preachy and off-putting. So anybody who's working somewhere in between that, and hopefully more towards the artistry and expression end, I am 100% behind. I think art as an expression of faith is super important, but how you handle it makes it valuable or awful, and I think these folks handle it very well. And the Divine Anomaly is the name of his universe he's building, I think. Of course, you can check out the online shop, buy stuff now. And then he explains his universe. Here's what he's put out on that universe so far. And then, of course, here's just like a nomination of, like, we've done this many times. We will do it again. I think that's good. 8th campaign. Exactly. I've done 6. Succeeded on 3. And there you go. That is Winnie the Pooh, Demon Hunter. So check that out if you're interested and want to support some very cool creators in their passions. I'd certainly appreciate it. These are cool cats I want to keep in the system and I want to see grow. Display screen. Yes, the band's working. Last but not least on this one, and it might not be last, depending if anybody took me up on anything. Nope, it is going to be the last. That's okay. Let me check something real quick. That is probably going to be last. Okay. That's fine with me. Unless something pops up that, like, oh, I should check that out. But we'll see. Oh, this one's close, but it's got just over a day to go. So if you're interested or not, if you could spread the word, that's part of what I'm trying to do here. This wonderful creator in particular. In fact, all three creators come from that background, actually, surprisingly. But anyway, this creator in particular has supported me, like one of the earliest creators to support me back when I started. And I'd love to see his work continue to go forward. This is the second time he's launched this campaign. I think this time it got further than last time. But at the same time, there may be reasons for it. So let's check this out. This one actually has a trailer. And we'll go from there. If I do... So I've got the hat on. If I do more editorial to it, I do apologize if this creator watches it and it's harsh. But at the same time, like, I backed it every time he's launched it. Like, that's not a thing. I'm 100% behind this individual. I would just like to see them grow. And I have thoughts on why this isn't moving forward as fast or as hard as he may need it to. But I am also thinking he can do it here with a good, strong push. Again, I've made greater strides on final days than most any creator I've ever seen. So I personally know it's possible. But I also put in a ton of networking work during the campaign to even have that be a possibility, right? So I don't know, but let's check this out. I haven't seen the trailer, so let's just start there and go from there. Display screen, man, here's that good. I appreciate that, Maestro.
Here to serve.
Sorry to pause the wonderful Jack Irons track by Lagoon, but this is going to take precedence. Alright, so this is Spearhead Zero. So I believe it's in issue 0. It's a new manga series coming from Sporkman Studios. So if you're familiar with Sporkman, which is a fun, another all-ages comic, I enjoyed Sporkman Conventions quite a bit. I enjoyed Sporkman Goes to Japan quite a bit. I don't know if I did reviews on either of those on the channel. I feel like I did Sporkman Conventions. So look that up in the IronVerse Quickies if you want like a deep, dirty dive into how things are done and my thoughts on that. But let's check out Spearhead, which is a spin-off of Sporkman Goes to Japan with one of the main characters in that, I believe, 3-issue mini-series of Sporkman. So let's watch this and see. Oh, I gotta get my fat head out of the way. I need a voice command for that. Fat head. Do I have a button for it? No, I need a voice command or a button. I can do this with a button, but can't get my fat head out of the way without clicking over here. All right, let's go.
First introduced in the 3-issue miniseries, Sporkman Goes to Japan, ADF agent Natsumi stars in her own spin-off manga series, Spearhead. Spearhead Zero follows the events of Sporkman Goes to Japan and sets the stage for Natsumi's solo adventure as she faces threats to Japan, both old and new foes, as well as learning more about her past and destiny. Spearhead Zero is an action-packed 20 pages of manga goodness. Let the chase begin.
There you go. Trailer was better than I expected. But there's a lot missing there to hook me on anything, which is the same thing that kind of is missing for me throughout all of this. But let's check out the page, and then I'll talk about this key ingredient I feel that's been missing throughout this campaign's attempts. Yeah, I think that's a large part of things, but it's over here, Cody. There you go. So many things to click and move. I really hope this gets funded, though. Did I zoom in by accident at some point? Looks like I did. Hello, true believers. Name's Chuck, co-creator and letterer and digital media editor with Sporkman Studios, along with his partner Eric J. Berry. I've done many interviews with these folks. They're cool cats. We're here to present to you a new story in the Sporkman universe called Spearhead. The story. Natsume Wube is... Wooby? Wabe? Wooby? Let's say Wooby, just because it sounds fun. Whoopee! Japan's latest superhero, ADF agent, scientist. Okay, so it's hard for me not to. So I did this on Demon Hunter Raven as well, but that one was just using the word face twice in a row in the same sentence when you could just do and. This one is period, broken sentence. If this was a comma, a bunch of broken sentences here, which is kind of off-putting from the start. You don't want to do that. ADF agent, scientist, creator of the super mecha Sporktron. Carries a spear, another broken sentence. She carries a spear. Known for sudden outfit changes. Natsume has made it her mission to bring down the forces of Shogun Z. Natsume, again, two sentences started with the same word, is on a quest. She is on a quest. Her quest is. Natsume is on a quest to find out more about herself and her powers given by the spear, while double space learning to wield her powers for the forces of good. What does the future hold for her in this brand new adventure? Good question. Spearhead will be a 20-plus page jam-packed action sci-fi adventure homage to late 80s and 90s Japanese manga and video games. So there's a lot in there that, like, man, I don't like wearing the editor hat with folks I appreciate. I really don't. But here we go. First impression is arguably more important than continued impression. This, within the first sentence, first two sentences technically, but it should have been one sentence, or should have been phrased differently into multiple sentences. If your pitch is hard to read, how do you think people are going to think your comic is? And I know for a fact the Sport Band Convention in particular, written very well. It's very clean, great puns, good comedy. It was edited properly. This is broken. Don't want to start off broken. Like I am overall, like, one of the things you can describe me as a person is broken. But the facade, the performance, the face you put forward to the market, to the network, to peers, there are many aspects of it, and one of them should be pride in the craft and showing that you understand the craft. And I know how easy it is, particularly if you're editing your own work, to have your brain fill things in that aren't there, right? So you miss a the, or you don't have an a, or you forgot a period, or things like that in your brain, like you've looked through it 100 times, so your brain thinks you have it there, and it's not there. Like I know that stuff happens. But at the same time, like, here's another thing I know. I use a lot of broken grammar in my dialogue because I am working with a Southern cowboy. And because I come from a background where communication isn't as important, like, is far more important than the language and use of the words in that communication, right? So even my other work with dogs, right? Like that, the words don't really work with animals, so the communication is still the most important thing, right? The point though is people like style, people like flair, and it's not style and flair if it doesn't come off as quality. It doesn't come off again as either pride or skill being put into the work. And it's not the first sentence, which is great, but it is the first sentence on your pitch, which one of the things about this that I'm just going to rip that Band-Aid off. I have no resonance with Natsume. I've read Sporkman Goes to Japan, and I still have no resonance with this character. Why people resonate with Sporkman is because it's a ridiculously funny and fun design. It's a stupid concept in the best way. Natsume, to me, comes off relatively generic. Like, that's a gorgeous cover. It's pretty. It's good work. But what am I to resonate with here? Now, I've been talking a lot about things I've been watching recently, in particular Hunter x Hunter, which I was off-put for a long time because the character designs being so plain and generic and like, eh. But where he made up for it, and you cannot do as a ground-level indie creator, this is a well-known mangaka who was able to pull this off. What he was able to do is to use those plain and generic character designs to get out of the way of the storytelling and the character growth. Whereas I like character designs to speak, so the instant you look at a character, you know a lot about them. Like, it's how I dress, it's how I think, right? Like, it's the jewelry I put on, which are charms, important things to me. You know, wearing this hat right now, the overshirts, what shirts I choose. These things are my facade, my face, my original communication and contact with other people. A character design needs to do the same thing, particularly at the indie level, because there are a million other characters that somebody could be looking at. You have a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds to grab them. Again, if you're a well-known mangaka or a well-known comic creator, you can pull off an art style or a character design that is far more generic and plain and use it. I've only seen it done once really well. Again, Hunter x Hunter. That's the only one I've seen like take a generic bunch of it. Like, every character design in that series is super generic and plain. But he uses them to stay out of the way of the characters' dialogue, their actions, their emotions. Like, none of how they look matters. And that's part of the storytelling. And again, that's the only place I've ever seen it really work. You could talk about, like, cartoonists. Like, Garfield's kind of plain, but then he's got a really iconic look and design. Charles Schultz, same thing. Like, plain, sure, but they are super characterful, and the growth and design speak still, right? I don't know, like, I'm not going to say that her design is bad. It's not. It's just, I have nothing to latch onto unless I'm super into... So, here's another thing that where I come from. And this is me specifically, right? So this is what I see. I am not a Bad Girl Comics fan. Like, that does nothing for me. In fact, it can stand in the way a lot of the time. Lady Death, Vampirella. For me, there needs to be far more substance. I'm not going to buy something simply because it's got a hot lady on it. This is the best way to say it for me, right? Like, some people, that is absolutely a market, and it's one I will never understand. But it's absolutely a market. I won't understand it because it's just not how my brain functions. I've talked about this other times, and I was told there's a term for it, which I'm not so surprised there is. But I need more. And I think having more, like Lady Death and Vampirella have huge libraries of comics and depth to their character. But their marketing forefront is those tatas, right? Like, there's no question. Frazetta, amazing with lighting and direction and so many other things. But he is probably best known for his very voluptuous ladies. But there was so much more to his work, right? Hot lady standing alone is not going to do it. This is a gorgeous cover. I love the coloring. The stance is good. But it's not telling me anything. And from the jump start, your book should tell me something. Like, what maybe she's graceful. maybe the smile is like graceful but cocky. But that's not enough of a hook for me, right? Like, well, what's she facing? Well, what's the point? That's what sucks. Like I need a point. And let me. Oh, I hate doing this. I really do. Display screen. Oh man, they're on it with that one. I appreciate you, band. Let me show you what we do for closest thing to bad girl marketing. I was talked into this, and I really like this individual, and he did a cover for Spearhead here. So this is a good segment, or a good segue, I guess is the best way to put it. Display screen. This is Illustrator Monk. He did a cover for Spearhead. The personality and character design. Just want to show you examples of what we do. Now, I don't choose this. I don't, like, tell him how to draw any of this. Like, again, this is not a market which I could ever understand. But it's a good piece of art with a lot of character to it, isn't it? And I'll show you the Illustrator Monk cover for Spearhead as well. We'll talk about the difference. And again, this one, obviously, it is a butt marketing piece, right? These are the sketch cards he did for a camping. Wonderful individual. He donated these to help us succeed. Thank you. But, yeah. There's a bit more to it. Now, I'm biased. I know things about what this character could be. Who this character could be, right? So it's not the same situation, but I just want to show that, like, a better example as well is the comic series Rags, where they are definitely a TNA marketed book. That first cover is her in a bikini, you know, but once you dive into it, you know a lot about her, and even the covers communicate the situation, they communicate her attitude, it communicates the setting really well. Like this is it's a pretty sci-fi Japanese setting. If that's your market, maybe it works, but it's not going to win over people who that isn't directly their market. And for me, I'm not. Like, I like my anime and my manga, but this does nothing to get me away from other anime and manga I'm already looking at, right? Here's Illustrator Monk's cover. So it shows a little bit more because there's a cop car, right? It shows a little bit more depth in the middle of the city. Still has a bit of problems. There's a dent there. That's at least a little bit of storytelling to the cover, right? Like, ooh, what happened to the cover? But I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. Like, this doesn't do anything for me. Honestly, it does nothing for me. But then you get the lettering and the storytelling, and it's paced fine. I'm kind of confused where that one's coming from, but it's probably coming from him, right? You can kind of tell. Again, if I read this, I'd probably have fun with it. But the bait, the hook, it's not polished. This is great, and I agree. The Sporkman stuff really is excellent. Like, all of these are good quotes that are honest, but I don't know. And here's the Sporkman stuff, which again I highly recommend conventions. So it's a really fun book. These are good. I prefer conventions, but these are good. It's a good read. I can get through them and enjoy them and have fun with them. Okay, and that's all. I still don't know, like, I don't know why. That's really important to me with art. Some people it's not. Like, a lot of people just make fun comics. And that's another one that, like, I understand more than the bad girl comic angle, but I still have a rough time with because I know how much effort it takes to do this work. And if you don't have a deeper meaning to it personally, I am very impressed you can continue to do it. Because it's very difficult work. My goal with my work is to spread a very specific message of hope and darkness. The same message that Jack pulled me out of some of my darkest places, right? Like, my goal is to return that favor that this icon, or at least spread it, right? That's the difference. So all of my marketing, my personality in terms of how I interact with others in the network, all of it is built around that. It's built around understanding this really nasty stuff that's out there and within, and facing it with hope and strength, right? So whenever I'm communicating with folks from whatever corner of comics, like, that is my main goal of communication. I go into every conversation with that as the goal. And sometimes it resonates in a way that I never expected. It's really cool. Sometimes it goes in one ear and out another. Specifically with folks who just make comics for fun. Like, when I've talked with those folks, they don't understand me. Particularly if they're on a very specific end of the culture war. Let's just say that. And it's probably not the one you expect, honestly. But then there's people on every set that understand what I'm doing. Because what I'm doing is very recognizable and has been done so many other times. Like, it's nothing special. But it's a note, it's a song, it's a energy that continues to be necessary. So I have a strong pour to the work, and it's one I can always refine and place forward and show a million different ways. And I still don't know why you would get this, at least from my perspective, right? Like, pretty ladies, okay. For me, as a Sporkman fan, storytelling. I like their storytelling. It's usually very fun. But from the pitch, from this, like, I don't feel that. From this, I don't feel that. And even from this, it's a little tough to feel that. 88%. I would love to see them get a chance to continue to grow. I don't want to see them have to run this a third time. I don't want them to take another blow that says, you know what, you're doing this wrong. They deserve to continue forward. They've worked very, very hard, and they do put out good work. But at the same time, they're kneecapping themselves. Just kneecapping, and I don't like to see that, and so I talk about it, and I feel like a dick. That's the whole point of the Quickie series. It's like, well, you know what you're gonna get at least. I'm gonna tear it to shreds if I need to. I've done that to professional indie works, like fucking Sad Toaster, I think it's called, from Sienkiewicz, who is an incredibly unique and talented artist who has been working in the industry forever because his style is so cool. That fucking story was terrible. Like, the notes it hit were awful. Its overall concept and how it communicated things were awful. It was unique. I never read anything like it. But it was a bad comic. Like, I was happy to tear through that one for me personally. Some people may really like it because it's super artsy, but it was a bad comic. I want the sphere of indie comics to compete with the mainstream, not be an alternative to it. I want it to be, in terms of, like, the mainstream. Comics is such a niche market that is one of the few artistic markets where outsiders could come in and actually knock it across the face and and make a difference. And it's one of the few where there's enough people wanting to be in comics where that's doable as well. You get YouTube videos, right? And you get that kind of thing, but that platform itself is relatively faceless, and it's the creators that make it do anything, right? Comics is not faceless. It's got massive mega corporations glutting markets and shelves with, God, I use the term sewage, but it's not all sewage. There are some incredible books coming from the mainstream. That's my other bit too. It's like there are some really cool creators who have survived in that. Again, I was going to use cesspit, but those are a little too harsh. They're a little further than I really mean. But it's unbelievably tragic to see potential and see it not come forward. Now, to see it struggle and succeed is one thing. That's kind of my work, right? Like, it's never blown up. It's never done anything more than the bare minimum to continue forward. And that's all I need. Like, that's the big thing. Like, I would love to have, like, a comfort in my financial situation, right? I've lived paycheck to paycheck my whole life. My parents did a little bit better than that. And currently, I'm in a position where paycheck to paycheck is okay. Right? And I've been that way for a while, but it would be nice to have, like, oh, I need a new phone to be able to just go get that new phone. Like, I've needed a new phone for like 7 months, and I just make it work. Work boots. Like, I worry about work boots. The mine are falling apart in holes, but they still work, so I'm still using them, right? Like, it would be nice to either have a job or to have this art be able to support me in a way that I can feel more comfortable if anything awful was happening. Like, I do not like the fact that I've had to run multiple GoFundMes to not fall apart and get destroyed by this world. I'm very blessed that people were willing to help me and pick me up, right? And I will continue to work my best to honor that and spread it forward. But if you're taking this work seriously and want it to be a success, then there are many obvious signs that you are doing that. That's my big thing with, if you're putting an editor credit in a book, then I expect to have seen that editor do their fucking job. That's like my number one peeve with indie comics, like above variant covers, above misleading marketing, above a lot of stuff. If I see a fucking editor credit in there, I'm seeing typos, I'm seeing badly placed letters, I'm seeing panels that don't flow correctly, I'm seeing bad art, like, then what I'm seeing is a leech. And if I feel, again, squandered potential because of whatever angle in your work, like, it's tragic to me. It breaks my heart. And so I can either be super honest and heavy about it and try and do the job that should be done by somebody else, or I can shut my mouth and just stop paying attention. I don't want to do that either. I love you guys. Like, you know what? Let me see if I can find that quote. Display screen. Let me see if I can find that quote. Because this is where I come from on this. It's going to take a minute because it's buried deep within my Twitter bookmarks, but I have it buried in there, or I have it saved at all, because it's something that kind of needs to come up again and again. It's why I'm here. No, that's way further. Just a second, folks. It's going to take a minute. Because, again, it is buried. Oh, God, I guess we talk about this, too. Because it's the same fucking points. I've tried so hard to put them forward. Well, I could probably remove that one because I have a kick. Let me see. Oh, there's a lot of good ones saved here. I have a good bookmark section on my Twitter. It's just full of gems. But let's see.
Douglas Ernst said, "A lot of people say they want to hear the honest truth, but they really do not, and then they blame you for giving the thing they claim to want."
To be fair, like, nobody's ever come back at me from these, but I can tell, like, I've hurt feelings before. Like, I know how that is, man. That lettering script, I was really proud of it because I finally broke through, like, this huge writer's block and intimidation block and actually put a script to the amazing artwork I got in, right? And then Dollar Coins takes it and is like, oh, this sucks, this sucks. Look at this. What are you doing here? All these points. I'm like, oh. And then I had to sit with it for, like, an hour or two, and then I was like, well, he's right. And then I've been intimidated again because the technique I used to break through that intimidation was shit. But it worked, but it was shit. I know you cannot grow without these things because we are one person with one perspective. And art is something that's supposed to communicate to, if you're lucky, infinite perspectives, right? As many, like, the potential is incredible over time, all of this, right? So having one good, honest one is super important. But let me find here, because this is where I come from, and it's tough. I'm getting there. Man, is it buried, though. But it reminds me, like, a lot of things because I really respect the mangaka who said it as well. His work was the best piece of sequential art I've ever read. I had to read 180 chapters in one night. I couldn't stop fucking reading it. It was so good. It's about the French Revolution. It's called Innocent, and then there's Innocent Rouge, which is the sequel series. That's really the continuation. Not available in English. You can get it in Spanish. You can get it in Japanese. You can get it in Chinese, French. But for some reason, they never printed it over here, so I had to read it on a fan site, right? A fan translation. But anyway, it's from Sakamoto, I believe is his last name. Or, yeah, no, it'd be last name. Family name, whatever term. Oh, come on. Wow, it's way back. I have way too many of these. Sorry, folks. It's taking longer, but it's a very important quote to me. Because it resonates. It's the same thing. Oh, and then it put me back at the top when I was looking. Oh, man, Twitter, I hate when it does that. No. Okay, here we go. There we go. Now we're definitely past it. Here we go. Found it. Yep, Sakamoto Shinichi. Excuse me, Shinichi is his last name. Sakamoto is his first name. Display screen. The path I've selfishly chosen for myself is a rough, uneven road. I tripped again and again, got stuck in the mud, and crouched down, unable to walk forward. But when that happened, someone reached their hand out to me. So now, I call out to my juniors that are struggling now, like people used to do for me. People want a soft, supportive hand, and I give that 85% to 90% of the time, because that's what I need most of the time. But at the same time, if you support, I'm trying to think of the word, the bad habits is best term I can think of, but there's something more accurate out there. I just can't. It's somewhere buried deep in the neural web of my brain. Then you are setting them up to trip again and again. And I worry people have done that for me constantly. Because I recognize the situations I find myself in. And I am very aware of the reasons I find myself in those situations, both because people supported me and allowed me to, but also because I walked into those situations. I chose that path. Again, selfishly chose that path. And when I started out, that's exactly what was happening. People supported me. They found me and they lifted up. They put a hand out, right? So I do that all the time, as much as I can. But at the same time, if I had just spent the whole time talking about Spearhead positively as this amazing thing and just glossed over those couple sentences at the beginning there, the turns they're using said, they put sad, what I see off with the whole marketing of it for me personally. I wouldn't be doing anyone justice. If I got somebody to support it off of that, they got the book, and they're like, I wouldn't be doing that guy justice, right? Like, I want folks to reach their potential. So I have two choices. I either ignore them and stop wanting them to reach their potential, or I tackle it directly in the most honest and personal way I can do. This is my opinion. None of it is going to be accurate for everyone who sees these things, particularly for the creators. In some ways, I hope. But at the same time, there's a reason I've tried to offer my services as editor as much as I can in many places, because I know what I need as an editor. And if I didn't have that, where I'd be. Not everybody needs it. Some people really, 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 really do. One of my biggest problems with comics, in particular Western comics, because it's not so much in manga, is the lack of mentorship. We're all sailing our own ships, and a lot of it is survival of the fittest, and we approach it that way. Manga does as well, but then they take the next approach where I also need skilled crew members to man my ship. And if I can allow them to grow and be strong enough to man their own ship eventually, then I have done a service for the art in general. And that's how we get Odas. That's how we get Toriyamas. That's how we get these incredible creators. Is they served on another ship. They learned the ropes from someone else. Western comics, it's beautiful. You can just dive in. It is incredibly amazing that you can just dive in, whether it's web comics or now with crowdfunding, physical delivery, all of it. You can be your own publisher. It's amazing. But the lack of mentorship is really it can be very depressing. And I know there are many professionals who offer classes, right? De Matias is one of them that I'd like, if I had the money, maybe. I really like his writing, and I like him as a person. I'd like to learn something from him. Jim Zub, he taught, and he might even still be teaching for years. There are people who genuinely make an effort to try and improve the medium by sharing what they've learned with their experience. In the less mainstream indie circles, however, it's do or die and can be so cutthroat and off-putting that any kind of feedback like my own could be seen as aggression or hate, when it's more somewhere between sadness and disappointment. Right? And indie comics deserves better. Medium has saved my life. This medium has brought joy to many in very hard times. That deserves the best of our potential. And reaching the best of your potential is not an easy path. Again, I am scared shitless of issue number 4 and my own writing not holding up to the amazing standard that the rest of the team puts out. Nice thing is, I don't feel so bad because I don't get paid for my writing. Like, I don't get paid for any of this. I luck out, right, and I have cashed in on a lot of those things because I needed to survive. But I'm not getting paid a page rate, right? Like, I'm not. This isn't my job. This is a passion. This is a hobby. This is something I love and want to take care of. It's not. It's not a 9 to 5. It's not a freelance thing, right? For me, it's the thing I need to do. And this is an aspect of it that, again, I really don't like having to do, but if nobody on the inside can do it and keep it quiet, then here I am, right? Like, that's the thing, is if you're putting it out into the world and you don't expect critique and criticism, you're going to be in trouble. And when it's coming from a place of genuine care for what you're doing, I hope you'll take it right. Because that's all I ever come from with any of these. I want you folks to succeed, and I want you to do well. And I would rather you have it in team and me never see the rough edges than seeing obvious, jagged, ugly edges constantly. There's a lot of these things that I would likely do for free for these folks just to help them understand what needs to be done. I wouldn't do it forever for free, but I would do it just because I believe in
Douglas
them.
Ernst.
But man, it's tiring. It's tiring, man.
I can tell from the way you comport yourself and how you approach these projects that you'll get the job done in terms of the writing quality.
Oh, I hope. This one's tough. Again, like I'm super intimidated because it's 2,000 plus year. Well, not 1,000 plus. I think Dante's Inferno's like 500 plus years, and then the other one's over 1,000 years old. I took two very, very ancient, tried and true stories from the East and West and slammed them together with a sci-fi cowboy skin, and then let the art team go nuts with it. And now I'm like, ooh, there's some places that need to be written around or colored around, which we've been doing fantastically in terms of the coloring around, which is great. But then I have to write over it. I have no idea. I think I'll do okay. I think it'll come to me. I have the message I need. I have the guidepost now. When I did the first lettering script, I didn't really have the guidepost. I had the original script. I had the art script, which is very different than my lettering script most of the time. So yeah, I hope so.
Said,
I get very full and arrogant of
you
myself
always
in
leave
the
it all
writing.
on the court and play until the whistle blows. That's all you can do. That in and of itself is honorable.
I think so, and that's what I want to see from more indie creators. Like I sometimes I feel this lack of polish. It feels low effort. And again, this is art. It is not a necessity. It is a blessing. It is a gift. It is something that need not be, but is. And therefore, in some way, you need to justify it. So that's what I try to do. I'm not always great about it. But it's definitely what I try to do. But anyway, this is where I come from. Like, when I read this, reading that wonderful, again, I was 180 chapters long. I must have spent like 13 hours straight just reading Innocent and Innocent Rouge together. The most excellent, emotionally charged, and beautifully horrible depiction of the French Revolution I think ever put to page. Again, if you folks can read manga online, if that's a thing you're willing to do, please do. It is incredible. My editor, again, he's gotten me into a lot of these things. He said, I just finished this, and this might have been the best piece of sequential art I ever read. I was like, what? And I go into it,
Douglas
and he
Ernst
wasn't wrong. That's crazy.
said,
Crazy to me.
bingo, a lot of people see nothing wrong with cutting corners. I did that as a kid and realized the hard way that cutting corners only penalized myself in the long run.
That's the bit. And I can't do that with this. My buddy, Laguna Muta, who does a good chunk of music on the channel, we had a wonderful interview. He's an independent musician. He's my oldest friend. I've known him since we were babies. Closest thing to a brother I have in terms of like time spent together and friendship and all that fun stuff. He's done many songs about that. One of the lines is it's something about you get one shot and it's worth the fight. That's the bit too. It's like I am, especially with the amount of let's be honest about it, the amount of death I have experienced in my life. I'm very keenly aware of the limits of time. You ain't got time to fuck around, folks. It's the ultimate fuck around to find out, because once it's done, it's done. Like, whatever after is whatever after, but while you're here, you got a ticking clock. Like, right, I could have a brain aneurysm in the next 2 seconds, right? Like, it's not, nothing's guaranteed. You have the time you have. That should be a spur or a guide at the very least, by your side, that you maybe don't need to constantly be aware of, because that'll destroy you. But you should not forget, especially when you're doing something like art. Again, I take it very, very seriously. One of the best things about comics is you don't got to take it seriously, folks. Again, like I've spoke with many people, and quite a few of them do it just for fun. Some of them do it for fun on the surface and are actually doing it to take care of themselves, right? Like, that's the point in a lot of cases, and I love seeing that. That's the why, and I can usually feel that in their work as well, even though like they put forward like, oh, it's just for fun, or this is stupid and all that, right? Like, I can feel why they're doing it still. When I can't, there's usually that lack of communication, the lack of resonance between myself and that person, and why they do it, and the art, right? It's harder for me to communicate where I'm coming from with those kind of individuals. But there are many who would come off on the surface as those kind of individuals, and that is not what they are beyond that point. It's an amazing medium. It is an underappreciated medium. It is a horror of a medium in a lot of ways. Like, it is totally willing to sell itself for fucking chump change again and again and again. It deserves better. It deserves better.
Douglas Ernst said,
that's the big one too. Like, if it's not serving you, if it's painful, then you shouldn't be doing it. For me, like, it is mostly hard work. The creation part, seeing pages come in, it's funny for the moment, or it's fun for the moment, or whatever. But it just means that, like, we're getting closer to the harder work. But it all serves a general purpose of mine, right? Like, it's what I do. I consistently over my life, especially the last decade, 15 years, I've been reminded, like, my role is a caretaker. That's the position I've consistently put in, and I have both done well and exceedingly failed at it, but I am a caretaker. That's what I do. And honoring and respecting that lesson and that constant reminder I get, hopefully makes me better at it. Because it's tough, man. If you're running an art team or whatever, like, that's a caretaker role. I took care of people for a while. That ended tragically in both cases. Not because of me, but also, you never know how much you contributed to things. But as a young man, right? Like, there's a lot there. And I spent the rest of like the last almost 6 years now taking care of critters in relatively hard positions for them. It's what I do, and this is a section of that. It's an expression of that. From the messages I'm putting forward into the work, to how I run the work, to how I run the network, to the community end of it. And people resonate with that because they understand what I'm doing if I'm honest and forward about it. And luckily, I've needed help, and it's been there partially because of that. And that's just another reminder to keep at it and to keep getting better at it. Anyway, folks, I didn't want to end like that. Like, it's tough. Like, I wish I could have just been like, I'm not a hype machine. Never been a hype machine. I don't like build up super excitement for the work. The artwork tends to do that more for me. What I do well is communicate the point and the resonance of the work. And it's a deep and strong and wide-reaching point and resonance. So that does the rest of the work for me. Like, I don't build hype. I can't do it. I've tried many, many times. I have aspects that are cool. And again, the artwork does most of that for me. If I worked with a less talented group of artists, my work would have likely gotten nowhere. Serendipitous meetings, again, I'm very lucky. It's what helps drive my point with this is that a lot of this seems less than coincidence. But nonetheless, I just want people to do. I want to see consistent growth, and I want to see effort made to polish rough edges that somebody who knows nothing about you, knows nothing about your work, has never seen anything to do with you before, they look at it and they say, oh, that's good. That should be the first fucking goal, right? Like, there are artists that are terrible artists in terms of like quality of line art, but they can still make somebody. Florka Callis is a great he can do really nice line art. I've seen his sketches. Like, he actually can do, but he chooses to do this super simple, it's often like hideous style in terms of like even the subject matter, right? But he's able to resonate because the points are funny, they're clever, they're intelligent, and so the rough edges are obviously chosen. They're not cut corners, right? Like, you didn't read that 10 times. You read it twice, maybe, like, most of my scripts are done within a couple hours of the inspiration, like, at most. I've put out scripts within much quicker than that if the inspiration is there. And usually I don't do too many drafts after that. Because of how my workflow is. I'm at that part where I do another couple drafts now with the lettering script. But I need to get the points down, and I want to make sure that the rough edges don't show up. Again, that's the part. Like, I've tried to work with consummate professionals, and I've done my best to be able to pay above what the standard is, which is not. It used to be something I was like, yeah, I'm paying above that, that's great. But then I look at what page rates are, and it's just like, that's really not saying much. Even though, like, I'm paying 2 to 3 to 4 times what a lot of professional artists make per page. I'm proud to be able to do that. Because these cats deserve to be able to say, well, this person pays me this for an independent comic. And so, on negotiation level with some bigger folks, they have some leverage as well. And I want to see them grow. I would, no matter how tragic it would be for them to grow outside of me to a point where I can no longer feasibly retain their services, at the same time, I'd be unbelievably proud to be a part of their journey. And hopefully that would lead me to the next part of mine, right? So a lot of it's faith. In terms of like just believing it can be done, especially with my work, man. Like, the last 2 campaigns were just like, oh, this isn't gonna work, But I still got to give it my all the whole time, because if I don't, then of course it's going to fail. And then the last day, funding, it's blah. It's not something I've seen anybody else repeat, which is really cool. But at the same time, like, it should not have to be done that way. And I'm consistently trying to figure out how to do it more professionally in terms of, like, folks know when I launch a campaign that it will succeed and that they'll be able to get this book and continue the series. I don't like having it over their heads, like, well, if you want to keep me around, you got to support this. Like, no, it's not how it would work anyway, but that's part of crowdfunding. It's part of that effort, is that eventually these indie comics may not fund, and they may not continue. And that is something very possible with my work. It's held on by a single figure for years at this point. It's grown, but so have the artists and the talents around it, so it's only held on. But yeah, anywho, like, a lot of it feels like, well, it's easy for this guy to say these things, right? Because I do work with extreme talents. They carry a lot of the weight of my work. I would say the majority of the weight. Sure, it wouldn't exist without me going out, marketing and networking and all of that, but the actual work itself is carried by my art team. There's no question in my mind. And so some people aren't so lucky to work with talents of that caliber, because it is not a cheap endeavor. That being said, I do it from a place of poverty. I've been under the poverty line my whole life. Like, that's the, like, I don't like coming from a place like, if some uneducated lout like myself can do this, anybody can do it. No. But if an uneducated lout like myself has been able to create a relatively polished project and get it done multiple times, I mean, you can do it. Just spend a bit more time on it. Please. But I am short. No, I understand that. I've had a self-esteem issue my whole life as well. So that's gonna bleed out into talking about this, but at the same time, yeah, I think I do good. And, you know, if I wasn't confident in that, I also wouldn't be telling other people, like, what I think they should do. But at the same time, man, like, I'm no standard, right? Like, most folks should be shooting to sell thousands of copies. They should be out swinging fucking Savage Dragon at this point, which is just Eric Larson's little fucking set of porn that he puts out now, right? Like, it's a softcore porn magazine now. It's not what Savage Dragon started off with, but that's what I've seen it become. You should be able to outsell that as an independent creator in a time where comics are more well-known, understood, and even respected in some ways than it has ever been before. Like, no indie comic should be happy with a couple hundred comics sold. You should be proud of it if you believe, like, that's what you should, or if you're just starting out. All of those levels are true, but once you've done a few campaigns, or you've been in the system long enough, you should see the potential that's there and be as disappointed in the possibilities that have been manifested as I am. Like, most of the work I've seen that's independent and crowdfunded that does really, really well, there's two paths. There's the circus path, where you're constantly drumming up some reason for people to come to your show, quote-unquote show. And then there's the consistent hard work path. And I've only seen one or two folks take that second path, in terms of one or two groups of folks, is the best way to put it. We talked about BMR, and we talked about the wonderful Mrs. H. They've taken that hard work, get it done path. Girl with the Megafist showed up at one point. Tyler's taken that path, but he also puts in some circus in it. But then there's other folks who like it's mostly circus, and like the books may not even come, and they still make money and still sell another book. I've tried the hard work path, but it doesn't lead to consistency for me because of the budget required for this work. I would need to make quite a bit to retain these folk services to even do a bi-monthly release. I'd love to do that. I think that would really kick our work up to the second gear in terms of being able to refine the quality and get a lot of lessons done in a shorter period of time instead of one a year. That's not enough time to really refine or work, but it's just not feasible. And for a lot of people, like that kind of approach isn't feasible. So it's anything I say, I go with it, understanding that like it's just my opinion, my perspective. But I really super avoidable things like grammatical errors, little things like that on your campaign page. Like, yeah, that can happen. I've probably done it a bunch of times, but then I read through the campaign page again. Or while I'm promoting it, I'm reading through it. It's like, oh, that's wrong. And then I'll edit it. Right? Like, this stuff shouldn't be there. Best way to put it. There's some things you can, like, you gotta work with what you got. And there's some things you can't work with because you ain't got it. But when you obviously have it, and you obviously haven't been working on it, people either consciously, like I do, notice it because I'm looking for it and I want people to grow, or they subconsciously notice it. And particularly for new folks, like, that's a turn off. I really wish, really want, it's not even a wish, I desire people to do better about that. Like, we went through Mrs. H's campaign. Super professional in terms of how she presented it. Still felt very indie, and her work is indie. But there were no major turnoffs to me. Some people, it might be art, but it's an all ages comic. The point isn't to be this artistically grand, deep, meaning thing. No, it's to be fun for kids. And she nailed it. BMR, there were a couple places that were, but nothing was terrible. For Winnie the Pooh, Demon Hunter. Concept's fun. The designs were good. Like, the artwork and the colors were really nice. Like, ducks were more in a row. Anyway, I guess that's all I've got to say about that. But, what are we at, 2 hours? Let me go ahead and, Maestro. Thank you kindly. Oh, it does zoom in on the thing when I say that. Ha! This is the hotkey for Zoom. That's funny. Let's get a... No, that'll... I want something groovy. Kind of elevator music-y. That's not angry. I'll take it. But yeah. We've got other stuff going around here. I'm excited. I think next year is actually the year of other IronVerse comics besides Jack. I would like to do Jack 5. I would like to finish 5 and 6. I would love to do 2 comics in a year once. So once I finish 6, I'm done. Like, not with comics in general, but with a lot of what's been my current situation. Because there are a lot of chains that I've both shackled myself with because of loyalty, but also just circumstantial chains that I've had to swallow for years now that, like, don't need to be there. So if I can finish this current arc, which begins with issue 4, get to 5 and 6, I would love to shed those chains and then try running free again. But we'll see. There's a good chance, like, really good things happen about that too. That sticking with my loyalty will actually reward me in instead of continuously like be something I carry. But we'll see. We'll see. I'd like to do that, but next year is the year of IronVerse Comics elsewhere. With issue number 4, we will be releasing the 5-page The Recluse preview, which is right here, the cover for it. You're not seeing the green, so I have to do something about that. Which is funny because it has to do with my camera, I think. It might not have to do with my camera. It might just be weird like that. Actually, I think I checked it last time. It wasn't my camera. Should be my camera, though. That's on, so I turn that off, and then I turn off chroma key, and you guys still don't see the green.
Here to serve.
It's weird. I don't know what he heard that he said here to serve. Did you hear? Yeah, he heard that. Weird. Okay. But this is the cover. You're just not seeing all the colors, which is weird. You can kind of see where the green is, but this whole line that's black is actually green, a bright neon green. So that's weird. I don't know why it's doing that on this cover in particular. Like this lighting too, where it's black, it should be bright green. It's weird it's doing that. Did that last time too. So I guess I could just do this then. Oh, I don't have the chroma key on. Filters. Because I thought that would fix it. It did not. Okay, anyway. This is the cover to The Recluse. It's the 3rd series under IronVerse Comics. It explores, it's kind of a Robin Hood tale in the 1990s of IronVerse Comics, which is when Famine Inc. had basically taken over the globe. Super anti-corporate. Let's just say that. It's a Robin Hood anti-corporate, pre-apocalyptic story. I'm excited for it. It explores and adds depth to a lot of what you've seen in the world building in Jack Irons. It's from Scott Kish, who is an incredible creator. He does the series called Wrath under Wicked Publishing. Wrath explores childhood trauma in a really interesting way, and I think in a way that's super beneficial. Super glad to work with him. I love the character design, the ideas he keeps putting forward. I'm very excited to share this with you. So you guys will be getting a 5-page preview of this series with Jack number 4 digitally. And then you'll be getting the 15-page Western comic adaptation of Cactus Coyote as well. So you guys are getting a bonus, basically full-length comic with issue number 4. So excited for that. Hopefully that'll get folks more interested. Cactus Coyote, the manga, is currently available free to read on IronVerseComics.com if you just want to see what's been done. It will load less pixely. You just gotta give it time. I'm pushing Shopify to its limits with this website. But yeah, they're trailers if folks want to see that. Like this is the preview to The Recluse. Oh, there you go. Huh, frame rate's more stable on my end. And that's what the completed art and lettering looks like. Excited for it. Again, it's going to add layers and depth, which is what I've always wanted. IronVerse is an incredibly deep well if folks are willing to help us mine it. And of course, there is the Cactus Coyote. Oh, okay. My browser is not functioning. Interesting. I wonder if that happens for other folks when they're looking at my website trailers. I never checked that. That's weird. Why is it doing that? Because it still thinks it's full screen. Oh no, the whole browser's just like, is it Windows? No, it's the whole browser. That's fun. Nothing? Nothing really. Escape? Did I do it? Okay, Escape fixed it. Cool. It's just weird when it went full screen and finished. Then here is the trailer for Cactus Coyote. It's a little bit longer. He spent more time on it than I did on the Recluse trailer. Just kind of wanted a teaser for the Recluse. This is an actual trailer. This is more of a... He's shooting for a lot more fun than I do, Dollar Coins. He's shooting for a lot more fun. But the message he's doing is just as deep. He's very lucky to work with him. Basically, he's doing in space what I'm doing on Earth for IronVerse Comics. Which is really important because the galactic end of IronVerse is why Earth's like it is. It's super neat. And he's written like 250 issues already. I can show you. It's insane, this guy. We just need to hit the ground running with this one. But yeah, totally get the 15-page preview for free. Buy back at Jack Irons, number 4. Okay, well this time it didn't freeze up. I don't know why it froze up last time. But yeah, folks are curious, they can read number 1 of Jack or the Cactus Coyote 40-page manga right here. Either of those. But yeah, that kind of covers things. Let me see if there was any other campaigns while I was talking. It's been a couple hours. There's a chance. No. Okay then. Well, too late, folks. I tried. No, I might do another one. I like doing these. Last time I did one of these, got a lot more campaigns to look through. There's some that like I didn't know, which is a lot of fun. Because then I'm going in blind. I don't know the creators, so I don't have the. I don't feel as bad like tearing their stuff apart. Yeah. So again, the 3 campaigns I'd like to see. I doubt that moved, but we looked at were The Adventures of Captain Orange 1.2, which is because it's the revision. Again, very cool stuff. Great creator. If you want to support IronVerse Comics, supporting Mrs. H is currently one of the best ways to do it. We looked at Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter, which I think, no, it didn't move also, but it looks good. Check that out. And we checked out Spearhead, which has moved since we streamed, which is great. And I'd still love to see it fun, so they get another opportunity to refine the work. But that's the big one. So let me make sure all those links are in chat, just so I'm following through on that. Not that this has a very high reach, but again, just doing the work, doing the effort is a reward in itself. There are the links, including to IronVerseComics.com. Apparently, it's because my robot decided to interrupt my link posting. No, I'm talking about Cactus Coyote. Just by the way, I'm not bullshitting. Only 20 arcs, right? Yeah, 20 arcs. He's got plotted, scripted, waiting to go. Incredibly inspiring and prolific writer, Dog Points is. Let's get my background back. Oh, yeah, I didn't end up talking about this. But I made this. And I do it once in a while, especially when I'm kind of seeing shit that I don't like. No. Click. No, I want you to zoom out. Come on, man. I got a good keyboard coming in. That should help. Let me get my... There you go. So, start off with this. Because this is important. And I hope creators kind of understand. As a reader, I want to point to your work. I talked a lot about that today. I want you to say something, whether it's small or big, or do something gratifying. You know, at least a point, right? Show pride in your work through craftsmanship. We talked a lot about that today. I want to be inspired by your work. I want to say, oh, that's so cool. That's so well done. Even as a reader, I want to feel that. Understand and respect the environment your work finds itself in, which kind of bleeds, 1 and 2 kind of bleeds into that. But there's a lot of other aspects, from the networking aspect to like a general respect for the environment, for the people, for the workers, for respect. I want to feel respect from your work, right? That's important. But then, I started off with a reader because I've been a reader longer than a creator. But as a creator, I want to see dedication and pride in your work, shown, not simply told, which is a lot to do with number 2, but a lot more aspects than just craftsmanship. I'd like to see you keep at it, which is the track record part, and trying new things each time. I think that's super important and can be super inspiring to other creators. Now this one's big for me. It's not big for everybody. Some people want to see antagonism. Whether, it's you being a perpetual victim, but you're also an aggressor, which I see a lot, or it's the other way around. A lot of people do like to see that. Me personally, it is a major turn off, and I will never support that kind of marketing and behavior, particularly if it's like a fundamental pillar of how you get your work done. And when I see people leaning towards that I respect, I tend to back away. And they may not even notice that I'm doing that, but I do it. So that's a big one, because I don't need that shit. My readers don't need that shit. As a reader, I don't need that shit. So, yeah. Those kind of covered a lot of what I did today and talked about today, because again, it's core stuff. This is from June. So it's like, it's not something that changes with me. It's what it is. It's what I like to see, and it's what'll get me behind your work as a backer or a reader or as a fellow creator and peer who would like to see you succeed. That's one of the ways you can do it. And I think it works for a lot of people. Okay, we hit the 2 hours 10 mark. I have a puppy that probably needs to get out and run around. He's been crated this whole time. I've been very polite about it. It's probably time to feed you kids again too. Huh? What time is it? 11. Oh, yeah, it is. Excuse me, Lita. Where did I put that? Uh-oh. I may have also missed an important text message. That's fun. But I was here. I was in depth. It happens. I'll get a hold of it. It's all good. So yeah. This is the other thing, folks. Like, this is one of the most important things I do in terms of like personal fulfillment. But I work like 4 gigs. like the animal gig is super important for personal fulfillment as well. That's the one thing about working over this shelter that's been really good for the heart. It's hard, but good for the heart is that I know I'm making a difference there every day, every minute I'm there, making a difference for some incredible critters. I want to bring that energy and that feeling here as well, and it's a lot tougher here. Let's just say that, because reaching out and actually getting somebody's attention is a lot tougher. But yeah, anyway, thank you all for joining me for so long. It's been 2 hours. Like, impressive anybody watches this long. Again, this channel is more of like a it's very selfish, but it's kind of just a way to partially a way to vent, but it's also a way to consistently put work out there and to be there for readers and fans in one form or another. And it's, at the end of the day, I think what it's going to be simply is just a record of what I did. And I don't know how long that record will last, but it's there. Hours and hours, hundreds of hours of this journey and my thoughts on it. So I appreciate it. One of these days we'll possibly go back and watch earlier stuff just because it's going to be different. And we'll go from there. But yeah, thank you, folks. I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics. And I'll catch you folks on that old rusty IronVerse Comics trail. Adios amigos, vaya con Dios.